What's up? This is Mr. Brown and you're watching M3C. Shout out to Rings of Saturn. Stay tuned. My musical influences and background, I guess, got into hip hop when I was a kid, early 90s, skateboarding, hip hop was in a lot of the videos, got into it like that. And then when I got into DJing and stuff like that, was the early sort of hardcore jungle days. That kind of DJ thing became prevalent, and I got into spinning records that way. I was also into hip hop, but I didn't really think about spinning records like that. And yeah, that's about where it started for me, I think. My first productive musical item, I'd say, was probably my turntables, really, because I got into scratching and juggling and all that stuff. So that was around 93, I think, when I first got turntables. Didn't really get into scratching until later, a few years later, but that, and then my MPC in 99 got into 2000, so that was the first thing I got that I could make beats on. I was showing the ropes a little bit on the MPC. A friend of mine that I got into DJing with, and then when he started making music, and I decided, he advised me, oh, you should just get an MPC that'll work for what you want to do. So he sort of showed me through like how a sampler works and all that stuff, but then other than that it was pretty much just me. Yeah, I did have a manual for it, so that was pretty handy for the MPC 2000. Had a manual for that, so again, just looking at the manual, figure it out. So the way I acquired the first stuff I was using, I guess the turntables, I was still a kid, so it was just, I got one for my birthday and then one for Christmas. Saved up some money for a mixer and all that stuff. And then the MPC, a friend of a friend, the guy that advised me to get one, a friend of his, had one for sale, and I managed to pick it up off of him. I've had it ever since. The learning curve for mixing and stuff was, I guess you're always still learning stuff. And then same with production. It was quite, I guess, from being a DJ and everything, and knowing sort of what I wanted to do with the stuff, it was just figuring out how the machine worked. So it took a while, but I eventually got the hang of it, and it wasn't too difficult to figure it out after a little while. The equipment I use nowadays is the same stuff: turntables, MPC, and I've got an SP1200 as well. I got that about 6 years ago, and I mainly use that for everything. Like I either start beats on there or do stuff with the combination of the two machines. But I basically use that, and then I use like Logic to track stuff. I have some outboard gear. I'd like to get a lot more stuff. I still like to keep things in the analog realm while I'm making the tracks, and then once it's been produced, I can then mix and master and do all of that stuff in the computer. So that's how I like to do stuff. The equipment I've used over the years is pretty much the same stuff. I've used other people's drum machines here and there, but pretty much a lot of people I know have the same stuff anyway. I've had like a few different synths over the years and stuff like that, but just got rid of them. I wasn't really using them very much. So yeah, I pretty much just use the same stuff, just standalone drum machine. That's pretty much it. Do I prefer hardware or software? I like both. I use the best of both pretty much. I use them for what I need to get out of them. I like making beats on a machine. I don't like to sit at the computer to make stuff. But then obviously the advantages of using a computer to multi-track and put your scratches and vocals and mix and master and stuff like that is great. So I like to use a combination of both, and I always will. When if I upgrade stuff in the future, it'll still be a balance of analog and digital. Favourite brand? Yeah, I don't really have a favourite brand. There's no favouritism. Just whatever's good that really works, that's fine. It doesn't matter who made it, really. What would I recommend to a beginner? I guess it depends what you want to make. It depends what kind of music you want to make, how you want to go about it. Are you sampling? Are you not? So it really depends. I mean, these days you could just get a laptop and you can experiment and see if it's really for you. But then if you feel you like to use something standalone, then an MPC or some sort of controller, I guess. So I don't really know what works for me. Was just a drum machine and some records, and that's how I do it. If that's what you want to do, then that's a good way to start, I guess. Why did I choose hardware over software? It was like I said, I just got the drum machine. That was what my friend recommended. The software option wasn't really there. Like in sort of '99, I think Cubase and things like that. People were still using the STs. My friend had this ST, so that was the only sort of computer-based music stuff I'd seen, and the MPC was just more suited to what I wanted. I got a computer a few years later with Logic and stuff, and discovered all of that. But starting out on just that it was ideal for what I wanted. I was still DJing a lot, and that was still a massive part of everything. So it was just like an addition to having the turntables there. So that's why it worked. My views on sampling, well, I do it. I mean, if you listen to any of my stuff, it's all just samples, and that's it. I guess I don't really have any super strong views on it. I like sampling records, and that's pretty much it. I'm not exclusive. Like, I'll sample from movies and things like that. If it's not available on vinyl, I'll still sample it. But ideally, I like to have a record, because that's just part of what I enjoy with sampling. That's pretty much. They're my main views on it. What genres do I sample from? Well, there's not one specific sort of one that I go for. There's obviously really good. There's genres that sort of lend themselves to good samples. That everyone songs from soul, jazz, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm the same. I like all that stuff. Psych and library records and soundtracks, and there's just untold amounts of stuff. So I don't stick to one thing. If it sounds good and I've got my hands on it, like, yeah, great, I'll use it. Do I share my sample sources? Yeah, I share them with my friends, of course. Like, other than that, there's no one else to really share them with anyway. So yeah, I'll share them with my friends, but I'm not shouting about everything what I sample, but I'll share them with my mates. How do I acquire my samples? Well, I mainly buy records for that, and I just go out digging, or I'll buy stuff online, of course. I mean, it makes sense to these days. You can get some bargains. I normally look online for like specific records that I want, and then when I go out digging, I just go out to just see what I can find. Like, I'll just go and have a listen. If I find something great, if I come across a record I'm after, great. But otherwise, I'll just go and just see what I can find. That's always the best way, I think. Favourite sampler and software. Sampler wise, well, it'd be a toss up between what I have, the SP and the MPC. The MPC just because I've used it for years and I love it. Like, it's just a really good machine, and the SP just for obvious reasons. It's a great machine. Software wise, Logic. I've always used Logic. It's what I started using when it started coming to multi-tracking on computer and all that sort of stuff. So I've just started with Logic, and it works fine for what I want to do. Which is more essential, samples or drums when starting a track? It's different every time. Sometimes, I find some drums and I make a little drum program and I have some drums rolling and find a sample and it really works. Or I come across a sample and I'm like, okay, this will be good, let me find some drums for that. So there's never like a set way of doing it each time. It's just however it comes about, really. As an MPC user, what's the best one? I'd say 2000, just because that's the one I have the most experience with. I think it's the best of both worlds when it comes to, you have a bit of visual element which don't on like some of the earlier models, with the waveform and stuff like that, which is handy. And then I've used some of the newer ones, and they're alright, but I don't own any of them, so I can't really say, to be honest. Like, it's just the things that I've used. And out of the MPCs, 2000 is my favourite because it's just great. I've had it for like 16 years and it's going solid. So screen's dying a bit, but other than that, it's cool. What are my two favourite instruments and can I play any? Again, I don't have a lot of favourites. I like a lot of things, so it's always hard to narrow stuff down. I guess I like just nice piano is always great. Or strings, drums, of course. I mean, where would you be with hip hop without good drums? I can play a little bit of drums. I can play a little bit of the keys. I can play the turntable. That's probably the only instrument I can play well. Other than that, I'm just that's about it. I'm not proficient in any instrument. If I could learn to play any instruments, it'd probably be keys, drum. Well, it could be anything like saxophone, trumpet, violin, or what. It'd be great to play any. Probably keys like piano. Play piano really nice. That would be great. I just think it's something you can play loud and quiet, whereas the drums you just can't play quiet. So piano, because it works in so many situations. If I could pick two producers to work with, to be honest, I'm not big on working with other producers. That's not. It's not trying to be sort of arrogant. I don't know. I'm a producer. I just quite like working by myself, but I'd like to learn from like engineers or people like that could make the beats. I could learn to make the beats that I make sound better and just get better results out of stuff. That would be cool. If I could pick two MCs again, I'm a fan. You can't narrow two down. There's untold amounts. Obviously, all the legendary MCs. If I could there's always a few that spring to mind that I would like. I mean, at the moment, I'd really like to do something with your old Droog. I think he's crazy good. I've always been a massive fan of Edon. I would love to do something with him. And Large Professor, I think he's almost underrated as an MC. He's got a great voice. I'd love to do stuff with him. But again, there's untold amounts of people that sit here just reeling off names of people that I'd like to do tracks with. So yeah, that's tough. Top three producers. Again, I can't narrow down. Again, there's all the classic legends that if you're a hip hop fan, you can't not really be into them, like because they've shaped it. So I mean, maybe like Bomb Squad, because they really hooked. That's what really hooked me as to become a fan. It was America's Most Wanted, Ice Cube, and they did all that stuff, and that was the record that really hooked me to be a fan. So probably them. There's One. I'm a big fan of There's One. People Under the Stairs. I think he's a really great producer, and he's underrated, I think. And then there's hundreds. I really like Damu's great. Sort of recent people. And, there's too many. Obviously Primo, Pete, Dilla, everybody like that. But there's too many. Who am I feeling right now? Again, there's loads of people. I mentioned a few of them in some of my favourite guys. And then, I guess a lot of people I really like, a lot of my mates, really inspiring things. Samaya, Silk Cuts, there's loads of dudes out there doing their thing. I really like Sam Zircon's production. There's so many dudes out there that are really making some good stuff. But I'm a fan of loads of people. Alright, so this is the first beat I'm going to showcase. It's another one from a release I did a few years ago called Ebondo. Took the sample from a record, as usual. This one's all made on the 2000, and it's got multiple different parts. I'm not sure which bits they are, so I'm going to go through all of that.
main chops. Little horn chop. Extra little horn. Drum sounds, drum samples. And then we've got like a filter for the bass line of the same sample. Or same, it's all from the same record. And I believe there's a mid-range. There's a mid-range filter of everything as well. And that. There's quite a lot of layers going on. And then this is the sort of rough. Normally what I'll do is just rough it out and then mix it onto the mixer. So I'll play the rough and then go through, as it's playing I'll just go through, pick out which channels are which, and I'll need to re-EQ it all anyway, so you can see how that is all sort of done. So I end up having my drums on one channel, the extra hats that I've got in on another. Here's my main sample. It's like a little TikTok sample. Using all 8 outs for this one. So there's your bass, little guitar lick, percussion, nothing, main sample, hi-hats, drums. And what I actually did when I recorded the beat is I arranged it just live off the MPC, so each different sound has essentially got a separate track. So I'm just turning them on and off as I'm playing it back. So I'll go through that as it is on here. So I've just got the bass and the hats on a separate tracks. There's my other hats, drums. Is the sample without the bass line, and there's the filter on its own. And there's the horns. Another extra horn in there. Extra drums. So I just go through the track as it's playing back and just do a live arrangement into Logic, tracked out, and that's how I'd like finish that off, basically. Okay, right, this next beat is a combination using both machines. Like, this is the slave sampler and this is the master, so all the sequencing and drums, programming comes off this, and the longer samples come off of this. This beat's actually for a project I've done with Confucius MC that should be coming out at some point. Basically, this is controlling this for the samples, so the main samples, just a dope library loop. And then the drums, they're actually on the SP. And then I just started building up segments again. So So you just go through all these different. I didn't even use this at this segment actually. Eventually. Again, like the main sample's coming off this, so that's in the mixer, and then so is the drums and stuff are mixed. I did end up tracking this one out, for then the raps to be recorded and all that stuff. I can play you the song arrangement. It does have like an intro sound. Where's that? This sound. So we'd intro with that, and then this actually fades in the actual track. But this is the arrangement I did on here, and it was tracked out to be finished off. It's nice using the two machines together because it's just like everyone uses other samplers with the SP. It just gives you extended time. So if the stuff's not going to fit, I just end up putting the samples through this, and the drums and the arrangement all on this. Right, okay, this next beat, it's actually going to be coming out at some point, I don't know when, but it's all turned in. I made it predominantly on the SP, but then I wanted just a little lyric, a little Large Professor lyric, so I just added that in on the MPC. Little Large Professor lyric from a Lord Finesse joint. So you've got drums, that's the sample playing back. Then all these little chops, they've been pitched down to play at the right speed, and then this is the main arrangement, and I just mixed this on the desk and then 2-tracked it into the computer, and that was it. I didn't track it or anything, so all the arrangement is done just on the SP. Drum drops and stuff. It just pretty much goes through like that with some basic changes, and it's only a short track, a couple of minutes, nice little beat. That's about it. So this next one's just a random beat that I picked out. It's using both. I've got some of the samples on the MPC, like the main sample and a filter for the bass line, and then I've got all the drums and everything else all programmed on here. It's pretty simple, we've got a little sort of intro to it. It's not really mixed for any purpose, it's just a beat for now. Kind of moody. Kept the drums nice and kind of short and snappy. Should have some effects on it. I don't know where the like I said, it's not really mixed, finished properly, it's just a rough one for now. Just running through the basic segments that I set up. Can't remember how it goes. I think there's a filter section. Alright, so this last one, this is another beat I might use for a project. Mixture of the two machines, drums, some samples on here, the rest of the samples on here, like a filter and stuff like that. Start playing it back. So it's just got a nice simple drum pattern. The main sample has a nice bass line in it anyway, but I did a filter pass as well, so like it breaks the track up a bit. And there's also a couple of extra sounds in there. They'll all come in as it plays back. some point. I can't remember which pads they're all on, so it might be that sound, yeah, and that little sort of horn sound. So it just goes through as a, you know, just goes through the stages of the sequence until it plays out, and I'll track that out probably, or depends if I want to use it for an MC or I want to use it just as an instrumental. All just depends until I decide what I actually want to do with the track really before I finish it off. Pretty much it. Okay, I'm gonna walk you through sort of how I put a beat together. I'm gonna show you how I made this joint that I did with Planet Asia. Yeah, here we go. Right, so the sample is off a well-known record, Shaft. Everybody knows that. So I took the bass line off of one of the tracks. So it's that, and a little extra piece. And that little bit. I took that bit, and then I actually took some stuff from the next track. It's just, yeah. This bit here. Just up to that. I sampled that into the SP. So right now I've got the samples in the SP. I put some drums in as well. I can't remember which ones they are, but it's just some from a set that I have. So I started messing about, programming a little sequence, started putting segments together so I can create a song. I'll just run quickly through a few of the little segments. So it's just that, just with the bass and the drums. This with the added little, and the main sample. It's just me just sort of getting the rough idea, you know, the sort of idea of the beat together as I want it to sound. And there's loads of different segments, like with drum drops and bits of the beat taken out, and extra samples and little breakdowns and stuff like that. And then arrange all of that into a song so that it will just play straight back. So this is essentially the final sort of sequence of the beat. And then I'd mix that on the mixer and either track it in or mix it on the mixer and just record in a 2-track. And then in Logic, mess around in Logic and finish it off. Alright, so now once I've got the beat made, I normally mix it on my mixer here, ready for either a 2-track into the computer or to track it out into the computer. You probably can't see the screen, but it's got the tracked out version of the track on here. So essentially what I'll do is just play, once I've got the sequence all set up, I'll play the track back, and either use some outboard stuff, but mix it on the mixer. So I've got my kicks, snares, hats, sample, bass line, all the different parts laid out. The other bit should pop in at some point. And yeah, so I'll mix all of this like that, and then bust it all down and either track it in as one, like a 2-track master, or I'll track all the separate tracks in and then mix it in Logic, and then I could do my multi-track, like put the vocals on, cuts or anything like that, and finish it off. Like, so that's the basic sort of method of like what I do once I make it in the machines, like either on the SP or the MPC. I'll then move to the mixer and then into the computer to finish it off. So yeah, this is the finished track. Like ideally, once it's been mixed and mastered, it ends up on a record. And this one was out on King Underground like a couple of years ago, featuring Planet Asia. Fortunate to do the track through Dan. And yeah, put some cuts on it, as you can hear. and it came out pretty good.
Beneath surface, it's like theatrical science. It seemed like a circus. Flying shells, raised watch, the niggas short circuit. Win the wars, my people's murking. Chase bank heists,
Just play a little bit of it.
who bad bitches worship. Compare the poetry's like it's to a Picasso portrait. Government issue, futuristic pistol courtship. Medallion mortgage, idolize my forfeit. Sunday night baked swordfish. Thank the Lord for this and be the most ultimate. Immortal rap, stick a fork in it, pop. It's full circle out the